Want to get your thoughts on something that happened on Friday. The Senate Finance Committee on Friday proposed a raft of loophole closures around some of these systems and ETFs, and one very specifically targeted was the in-kind redemption tax treatment ETFs rely on. I've gotten some questions about this. Can you explain this simply? What is this about? How in-kind redemption tax treatment works, and how this would affect ETF owners if it passed?
Yeah, sure. If you're an ETF owner, generally you don't get any capital gains distribution from the fund company because when money comes out of an ETF, the company can push out their lowest basis shares, the ones that there would be a taxable event on. That's part of the creation and redemption mechanism. It's been that way since 1993. It's not something that's brand new. It actually dates back into the 40s if you really trace it all the way back. There is a specific line in the Internal Revenue Code that says mutual funds and ETFs can do this. Senator Wyden in his proposal says, let's just cut that line out of the Internal Revenue Code. It's very simple. It's literally one sentence. But what it would do, it would mean that that window goes away. You can no longer redeem your low basis shares. So it puts an ETF and a traditional mutual fund pretty much on the same footing, which means if somebody has to sell inside the portfolio, there's a taxable event.
So if I owned a Vanguard tech ETF, fund, right now I pay almost no capital gains until I actually sell anything, of course. But if they eliminate this, it means you'll get a taxable gain distribution if they sold to meet any redemptions, just like a mutual fund.
Yeah, not only to meet redemptions, but also just rebalancing, right? I mean, almost all of these funds have some sort of rebalancing mechanism in them, except for, the most generic cap-weighted exposures. Every time that happens, it can theoretically create a taxable event, which you then have to pay for whether or not you did anything, whether you sold anything. So that's why we've always said ETFs are more tax fair, because you, as the investor, determine when to sell.
Yeah, and not to ask a silly question, but why are they doing this? Why are they trying to close this loophole? And what are the chances it's going to get enacted?
I think the chances are fairly low. It's easy to look at this and say, well, gosh, this is a thing that rich guys are taking advantage of. It's actually smaller investors that benefit the most from this. High net worth investors generally have lots of ways to shelter taxes. ETFs are convenient, but by no means the mainstream of how high net worth investors manage their tax situations. But if you're a smaller investor who's been accumulating some money outside of your 401k, ETFs have been a great boon. I think that this is pretty regressive, and for that reason, I think it's pretty unlikely to pass. But the reason, to try to raise revenue, obviously.